Okay, so we have now finished the whole of It Snows in completion. This was our first run through of everything that I'm going to show a video of, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about our intentions, a little bit about the finalising it all, finishing it all, and where I got up to last time. So last time we were talking about the chair duets, and I think it was about the miming and the closeness and the contrast to the party. We've figured out all of the synchronicity with the two, Cameron and Caitlin, me and Marlon, and all the other people in the back, when in terms of the counterbalance, in terms of the movement, and when they come in and push us together. We have aspects of when we first did it, which we incorporated because we kept playing about with it, and we felt like we needed that aspect because we kept losing it. We've also gone through over the party and the beginning again, talking about when we felt that we couldn't hear certain people because there was an overlap. We'd talked more about music, and we've established all of the music we're going to use. We've established some bits that need to be quieter. We've established that we need to react more to Catherine when we're in the party, and we have those moments and sequences there. We established the change that we had to the duet scene, and the miming. So carrying the whole of the duet scene starts off with me in the cold. Cameron comes on, we have a synchronized line, which we chose to do ourselves because we felt like it worked perfectly in terms of what both characters are feeling and thinking. Cameron showcases his photography, Caitlin showcases her drama skills, and her terms of like what she enjoys in drama and miming. So mimes the wind and walks to the front of the stage with one of the frantic lifts. And then we have, going into the next sequence, the synchronicity, the duets that I'll talk through when we have our full video run through, which I when I receive it. So next, to finish the piece, is after the snow has faded, it's melting away, and there's no longer like the effects of the snow. I feel like in terms of this piece, it's more about like what comes with the snow, in terms of like the feeling, the magic, you know, the excitement, but also the inconvenience it shows because the buses and things like that. But in terms of it, it's more about like the spirit that it brings everyone. So when the snow fades, everything goes back to normal. There are mentions of this in the lines, and subtext, subcontext and things like that we used. We had people walking in, throwing the chairs to each other. Hannah to learn one of the verses. It's almost like poetic, talking about how everything's going back to normal, dull life. We have a synchronised piece of movement of heart lines, pulling heart lines. We've done this once so far when we had the phone call section in this, when they're searching through their snow gear after the snowball fight, to find their phone, and this worked really well and we got a good response from the audience, so we decided to use this again in terms of our final piece, final section of this piece, to show off like more mundane processes of repetition, going back into work, but also select differences. So we come in, we do a little bit of that, some action with the chairs, and then all repeat the same movements at different speeds, finishing at different times, to show how we're all unique still, but we're still going back to mundane and reality. So we've synced certain lines. We've also used some bigger lifts, and the idea of sort of the beginning and the close, using more group activities, because when you have your disposal, and Frantic does this a lot, when you have disposal to more people, you're able to do bigger lifts, and so we are able to do bigger lifts at the beginning and the end, and certain sections in the middle of the party. So we had lots of lifts with Leah, falling as the snowball falls. We looked and picked apart certain lines at the end here and thought how we could show these through bigger lifts, and that's what we came up with. Moving as one a lot of the time, so everyone becomes sort of unanimous again, and there is no unique one person, apart from like hints to Cameron and Caitlin when they look at each other in the end and walk off. So yeah, like a lot of unison, a lot of unanimity, and a lot of like synchronicity towards the end. The music we decided is just fairly dull, sort of uplifting, but it's sort of just not a lot to it, and it shows a contrast. It shows the play slowing down again and coming to an end. And I think that the idea of like this completion, this show of like a complete story from start to finish of the section we chose, is very frantic in its style, because it shows how, in entertainment purposes as well, there is a beginning, there's a climax, there's a resolution and an end. So I will video of that. I will show the video of that, and I will evaluate that further. But so far, I think that's what we were happy with. We looked at the evaluations of that, and we'd worked on them to make it as much as we intended and as much like frantic as possible.